Hello, monsters abound here, and welcome back to Total War Warhammer 2 Mortal Empires and a brand new mini-campaign as Morghur, the Shadow Gate. This is to give you an idea of some of the free LC elements coming with the DLC. So this doesn't include the DLC elements, not the units or the lords. This is just the free LC elements coming alongside the DLC. They'll be free for everyone. So that includes things like the Beastmen update, which is amazing. You also get the Dwarf update. That's amazing. There's also Ogre camps as well, so you can recruit Ogres as mercenaries, which suggests maybe that Ogre Kingdoms might be on the cards for the pre-ordered DLC, in my opinion. So let's get straight into the Beastmen update, which is fantastic. I'm playing as Morghur because, I don't know, I just quite like Morghur. He's a mucky boy. He's got big hair. I like big hair. Marathi's got big hair. She's one of my favourite legendary lords. Morghur's got big hair. The style of hair is different, but it's still big. That's the important thing. I just quantity over quality. That's how I go. So the first big thing is that units no longer cost upkeep. You instead have a unit cap. So that's interesting. So you no longer have to worry so much about money as the Beastmen, which is a really nice change because Hordes are always in this situation where they're desperately trying to keep up with the other factions in terms of the number of armies they have, because they can't. Because once you get over about 4 armies, good luck keeping that. You know, you need to keep hitting so many settlements every turn to maintain that. It would be basically impossible. So just having a unit cap makes so much more sense. So that's really, really good. Now, the Beastmen play in general sort of revolves around Bloodgrounds. Now, the Bloodgrounds are basically areas of the map which you claim as your own. So if we click on Salzamund here, we can see that some provinces surrounding Salzamund have this sort of red colour, and they all have this potential Bloodground region number over their heads. What this means is that if we destroy that settlement and put a herdstone in its place, which acts like a settlement for us, but with very limited building capabilities, we can then basically hit the settlements around it and increase devastation, which is this number here, this 4. Once that number goes over 10, we can then enact a ritual. The ritual doesn't cost any resources or any time. It's instant, but it locks down the herdstone, and you can no longer gain more devastation at that herdstone. But that then converts that devastation into marks of ruination, which is your kind of overall faction power. So this unlocks different bonuses such as army capacity, horde building, construction. It also, at certain levels, allows you to increase the unit cap on certain units such as Minotaurs and Centaurs, all that kind of stuff. So you need to increase your marks of ruination level to basically win the campaign and allow you to increase your unit upkeep. And that way you do that is via Dread. Now, Dread is gained by basically just doing Beastmen things, fighting, killing, burning, all that kind of good stuff. And then you can then spend that in the rewards of the Dread. So you can see here we could then use 100 Dreads to increase the unit cap on our Ungor Spearmen or Ungor Herd. And you can see some of these units are currently locked, and we would need more marks of ruination to unlock those guys to then increase the unit cap. Now there is a default unit cap, so if you gain the ability to construct or recruit, say, giants, you can recruit a giant. You don't need to get 60 or more marks of ruination to recruit a giant. But if you want to then increase the number of giants you can recruit, you would then need to unlock that and spend some dread to increase that number. You can also do the same with the legendary lords. You can confederate the legendary lords, gain those in your faction by spending dreads, and you can also increase the number of heroes that you can recruit. The unit cap is there. Again, very nice, because previously the Beastmen could literally have 1 Gorbal and 1 Bray Shaman extra per herd. So you would only have the number of Gorbal. The Gorbals you would have would always be the number of hordes you have plus 1, depending on if you had the max level building. So you would almost never have any spare agents, because your agents would be in your armies and you didn't have the ability to recruit anymore. And now you can just spend dread to increase that. So that's really nice. There's also upgrades here. So you can spend some dread to increase the power of your new horde armies. So that will mean that when you recruit a new horde, it will have a base level of buildings already available. So that's quite nice. Increase army capacity down there, and also increase the default level of your lords and heroes. That doesn't currently work on the legendary lords though, so if you get up to lords and heroes recruit at rank 15 and recruit Kazarak, I believe he will still start at level 1. You can also increase the level of your herdstone. So when you raise a herdstone, you get some low-level buildings to construct. They're actually quite useful. To then upgrade the main herdstone building, you need to spend resources to be able to do that. Now, once you've gained the upgrade, all new herdstones will already be constructed at that rank, and there is no cost to upgrade it after you get it if it's already a lower rank. So it's a nice upgrade to have. Plus, at higher ranks, the herdstones allow you to recruit certain units at the herdstone, and obviously that's quite nice if you haven't already got the marks of ruination to unlock those, to be able to recruit those units, or you don't have the horde buildings, you can be able to recruit them already. So that's quite nice. And there's also a little chaos gift shop here, so you can spend some of your ill-gotten gains, your favour, which is still a currency. You can spend that on some of these magical items. So that's very nice. Nice little bit there. Now, the horde buildings have also changed because you no longer need growth to construct them. Thank fucking God. I always hated that. You still need growth to construct the main building, but that then just unlocks the building slots, which you can then obviously just, fill with whatever buildings. The main limiter here is, of course, your favour, because you only get favour from raising settlements. You can no longer sack settlements. You can just raise them. You could sack settlements more, could you? Anyway, the point is that you can't sack settlements, so you can only raise them, which means that once you hit a settlement, it's gone and you have to move on. So favour is more the limiting factor there, in my opinion. You also get some support buildings here. So, of course, you have the Shaman building, but it allows you to get an ability Shatterstone during siege battles and increases your Winds of Magic power reserve and starting amount, and then that increases. And we've also got the Heads on Spikes, because why not? I mean, no horde encampment would be complete without some Heads on Spikes to, lift the entire place, would it? And that's going to give you a little bit of default dread per turn, and also an ability which reduces enemy defense and higher ranks charge defense attributes for a short time at the beginning of the battle. You also get the Mound of Blades, which gives the Touched by the Moon ability, and also bonuses to magic item drop chance and income from post-battle loot. Touched by the Moon is a very powerful buff that lasts for 60 seconds. However, after it's like 60 melee attack and 100% weapon strength and armor piercing or something like that. Ridiculous. But after 60 seconds, your unit drops dead. So, use it sparingly. Although units don't cost anything, so I guess knock yourself out. And you also have the Pile of Flesh, because why not? Who doesn't want to carry a big pile of flesh around with them? Obviously, which gives Vile Entropy, which is I think it reduces missile attack speed and also ammunition for units. So quite a nice one to have if you're going to face Wood Elves or something. Now we're going to start by building the Heads on Spikes, just to give some extra little dread per turn. Now, you no longer get Bray Herds either, because they were fucking awful, and that's great. Bestial Rage now increases your growth, so we get Horde Growth +3 at higher levels of Bestial Rage. I think it also gives leadership and lots of growth, so that's quite nice. The Dark Moon is also still back. Every 6 turns, it'll cause a solar eclipse, which will give you 4 different bonuses to pick, and they're no longer penalties associated with those bonuses. They're just pure bonuses, and they're really, really nice. Good to have. There is also passive effects on the Dark Moon. So directly after the solar eclipse, so at the Dark Moon, once the solar eclipse is finished, because every 6 turns, you get casualty replenishment rate. As it nears the solar eclipse, your casualty replenishment rate drops down, and you get more post-battle loot. Then, as the solar eclipse hits, you get large bonuses to casualty replenishment rates, as well as post-battle loot, and also a 30% bonus to Marks of Ruination. So, if you can enact your ritual at the time of the solar eclipse, you get 30% extra Marks of Ruination. So if you can time that right, then, so good. Anyway, so we're playing as Morghur. Indeed. So Morghur as a faction now increases unit capacity of Chaos Spawn, because before he used to increase the cost of Minotaurs and decrease the cost of, or upkeep of, Chaos Spawn, which meant you basically never wanted Minotaurs as Morghur, which was a bit of a problem because Minotaurs are great. But now you just increases unit capacity for Chaos Spawn, which means you just have more Chaos Spawn. Which is fine, you can have Minotaurs as well, doesn't matter, they don't cost anything, it's great. And you also get casualty replenishment rate, Chaos Corruption for all characters, and a reduction in horde building construction costs, all very nice. Morghur himself gets the Shadow Cave, and that gives he has a new raiding stance called Despoiler Raiding Stance, which basically spreads corruption and causes every army in the same province as Morghur to take attrition. That includes garrisons. It's quite potent. You also have passive ability Aura of Vile Transmutation, which basically means he just kills everyone around him slowly, and that's really, really powerful. I came out of a siege battle with Morghur where he'd been in that sort of like mosh pit of trying to get through the gate. He had about 700 kills, and I hadn't really, he doesn't have any magic. He'd just been sitting there just slowly killing everyone around him. It was amazing. Magic resistance 20% for the entire Lord's army, immune to Athel Loren and Awakened Forest attrition, because obviously he is the main foil of the Wood Elves, and Morghur will always remain wounded for no more than one turn, because you can't kill the bugger. He's literally like a spirit of chaos. If you cut him down, he just pops back up somewhere else. And Chaos Corruption +5, because, well, he's Morghur, isn't he? I don't know if these are new, but I think they are. So, I mean, this is more boring. Abstraction of Zinch, which gives more melee defense and weapon strength for Centaurs, Chaos Spawn, and Jabberslies, and Aura of Madness ability for Jabberslies units. We don't have the Jabberslies at the moment because they're not currently in. Oh, they're in the DLC, but I'm not using the DLC. I'm only using the free LC. However, I'm fairly sure it's safe to say that Jabberslies are fucking amazing. I mean, gods. Oh, they are so good. I love those boys. Oh, so good. Force for Change, increased attrition plus 33%. Stuff from Despoiler Raiding. I mean, it already does a lot of damage. 33% is insane. Income from raiding plus 20%. That's very nice. Campaign movement range, Chaos Attraction is fine. And then Profane Blessings, which basically gives you some powerful ancillaries, which are basically like banners for Morghur, which have very, very powerful abilities. They also have some penalties to them, but the bonuses more than make up. And then a Touch of Chaos, which means that Morghur causes damage over time to people he punches. And, I mean, linked with the Vile Transmutation basically means that anyone around Morghur should be very concerned. There's been some changes to Beastmen in general. So, Slug Skin used to be 20% weapon strength. It's now 10% missile strength, missile resistance even. Crown of Thorns is now 10% weapon strength, and you only get one of these, so you have to pick one or the other. But, that's fine. That's fine. You also get the Stave Ruinous Corruption, of course, which is basically another. It summons Chaos Spawn, doesn't it? It does, and it also gives more Chaos Spawn. So that gives you ability to recruit Chaos Spawn. You also have Spirit Essence of Chaos, which means that enemy unit with under 20% hit points. Is it any unit? No, it's enemy. Enemy unit less than 20% hit points will just die and be turned into Chaos Spawn for you to control. Enjoy. Morghur's a lot of fun. Right, so let's, without further ado, we start off at war with Theodric Gausser over here. So let's kill. Come back. Come here. I hate your silly hat and I want it dead. Don't you run away from me. Get back here, you little. Oh, I didn't get the ambush. That sucks. Ah, that new campaign battle smell. But don't smell too closely because Beastmen don't know the meaning of washing. I can't believe I didn't get the ambush either. Beastmen have an ambush stance by default, and I didn't get the ambush. I've never not got the ambush. Never mind. But they have a crossing. That could be nasty. Unless we play sneaky. Now, the Ungor, of course, are... What, stalking? No, what's the thing? Yeah, stalk. Stalk, that's it. So the Ungors can stalk. So we have started attacking the Halberdiers over here. That has pulled the units away from this crossing, which means then Morghur, his Chaos Spawn, and the rest of our Ungors can advance. Maybe I should have left the Ungors like right at the crossing, and then as soon as they've been harassed, we could get the Ungors across, then bring the Chaos Spawn out. That's an option. And then of course we've got the Razor herd and the Centaurs. Now the Razor herd, I'm not... They're okay. They're not super great. They're quite fragile and fairly slow. So I'm not massively into the Razor Gore. For an early game unit, they're fine. To charge into the spears on this river crossing. There's Chaos Spawn carving their way through the spearmen, and we've got more Ungol spearmen flanking around. Meanwhile, their units are desperately trying to redeploy, but don't quite know which way to go. You can see we're harassing them with our raiders, and the centaur with throwing axes are just waiting on that side of the crossing, waiting. Having smashed through the spearmen, we're now pushing up onto the other side of the crossing, because then we can engage the main host. And more importantly, get those flanking attacks. And as the halberdiers move to engage the threats, the centaurs come in from behind, backed up by the razed herd. And we also have some Ungol spearmen flanking around, because those halberdiers look like they might go after my centaurs. So the Ungol spearmen are going to lock them in place, and there we go. Chaos spawn. Yeah, I mean, becoming a chaos spawn is a difficult point in someone's life. Tentacles where there were no tentacles before, that kind of thing. Your voice becomes more guttural, and you lose the ability of speech, and most of the ability to think. But still, you know, it could be worse. Actually, no, that's pretty. As ends in the Warhammer world go, being turned into a chaos spawn is pretty up there. And looks like that was enough to shatter the entire army. Theodoric Gauser and his little army have been routed, even without an ambush. Didn't need it. Well, in spite of not getting the ambush, that still went pretty well. I'm going to start with getting... We're going to kill the captives. Ooh, a berserker sword. It's not bad. Now, we're going to get more bestial rage, because that'll give us more horde growth. That means we can get better units quicker. That's the plan. And we can also enter hidden encampment with only 10% campaign movement range. Raiding is free, but it's not really going to do us any good because we're not in the right province at the moment, are we? Oh, we are. Could do that. We'll still replenish. Oh, but we won't be able to get any new units. We do want new units. We do want more units. So we've got some unit capacity on the Ungol herds and the Ungol spearman herd. So I'm tempted to get 2 of them. But we could get some doggies. You know what? We'll just grab the Ungol, because the doggies won't be hugely useful in a siege anyway. So we'll do that to start off with. Obviously, we're going to start with a 10% campaign movement range, gargantuan hooves. That just makes a lot of sense. You know what I really like is how I feel like CA are getting a lot more brave about giving bigger bonuses and sort of like leaning into the fact that factions should feel overpowered. I feel like in Warhammer 1, you know, you were getting bonuses like 5% campaign movement range, and then we're like, oh, well, maybe that's too much. Maybe it should just be 2%. We don't want to go overboard. And at this point, they're just like, fuck it. This is a weapon, it has 100% chance to end the world every time you use it. That's you know, go big or go home. That's what I say. Talking about big or go home, let's burn Theodoric's home, because I mean, I was going to say because I didn't get the ambush, but I would have burned it down anyway. Now, auto-resolve. You may have noticed there's no bar. In fact, we get the auto-resolve outcome, which is a valiant defeat with casualties high. Oh, sad. And if I hover over auto-resolve, you'll notice that all my units are flashing red. That's because if I auto-resolved, all these guys would die. If, however, you're in a battle and you engage the battle and you want to auto-resolve and only say maybe my chaos spawn flashing red, that would mean if I auto-resolve, the chaos spawn would die. Which means you can now see which units will be wiped out during an auto-resolve, which is fucking massive, because I cannot express how infuriating it is when you look at an auto-resolve and it goes, this is going to be easy, and then it wipes out 3 of your units. I hate that so much, and now it tells you what's going to happen, and it tells you what you're going to lose by auto-resolving, which is so much better. Such an improvement. Anyway, let's kill Baldric. So our Ungor are stalking towards the wall, unseen. We're going to send our axe boys against the gate. We're going to send our spears against to clamber up the walls, and our raiders are going to flank around and get some shots off on the crossbows. Meanwhile, Morghur is standing out in the open. I mean, currently, all this garrison can see is Morghur just standing there and shouting at the gate, and they're shooting him with crossbows. Well, they've now spotted the raiders. But Morghur actually has 75% missile resistance, which means good luck doing any kind of damage to him with the crossbow. He doesn't care. Does not care. As the enemy garrison start redeploying to meet the threat of the Ungors currently clambering up their walls, they are redeploying away from this side of the wall, where we have yet more Ungors waiting for them to get out of the bloody way. The rest of our units are hiding in the trees, and as soon as we've drawn away some of that garrison and killed some of the crossbows, I mean, Morghur has 75% missile resistance as well as regeneration, so crossbows, they just don't phase him. It's just not a thing. Gate is almost destroyed, and the AI will only see the Centaurs currently heading towards the gate. They won't see the Ungors currently trying to smash it down. So it's desperately trying to redeploy. Here come the Razor Gore herds and the Chaos Spawn again. Morghur just keeping that fire on him because it's doing basically no damage. Our Ungors have been spotted over by the wall, and they are now clambering up it, and there's no one to stop them. Now, Ungor Spearmen herd just there to hold these units at bay, and there's the gate down, which means that the Ungor Axe herd and the Centaurs can now enter the city unopposed. Obviously, the garrison is now in a lot of trouble because we're effectively inside the city and there's not much they can do about it. Plus, we're dealing with the crossbows, and this gate is going down very, very rapidly. Once we're through there, this battle is effectively won. The Centaur have got free reign to go and take the city centre as the garrison desperately try to deal with the Ungors flooding into the city from all directions. '92, '95, and we're in. Meanwhile, the Centaurs have arrived at the city centre, which means they can now just chuck axes down at the enemy general units. The Razor Gore are now in. How's those axes looking, boys?
Now we strike! Forward, man!
And I'm very much like, yeah, it'll be alright. So we're charging in. We've got Ungor spears, Ungor herd dealing with the enemy spears, hold them in place. Meanwhile, the Chaos Spawn, we've got more Chaos Spawn have been summoned thanks to the death of one of the enemy units, which means we now have Chaos Spawn free. The Centaurs starting to take a little bit of damage there from the swordsmen, so we're going to pull out of that engagement. They are very, very fast. And the Chaos Spawn now advancing towards them. They're once friends, and they move to try and stop the Chaos Spawn, which means, of course, Centaurs can then charge them right in the back again. Well, that's unfortunate.
Sigmar demands blood!
And the spears are now surrounded. And you can see they're starting to waver. I didn't even need these Ungor spears on the wall, just wasn't needed. You can see Ungor herd dealing with the enemy spears on the wall. They're slowly, I mean, they're taking a bit of damage doing it, but really not much of a problem. And finally, the Centaurs arrive to help out, finishing off the currently fleeing spearmen. I don't think there's going to be many survivors. What I like about the Beastmen is early on you're using quite a lot of like sneakiness and misdirection, and then later on you just, you know, Control A, right click, win. But that's fine. It's a nice transition. Missile parry with shield. I mean, Morghur doesn't have a shield, but To be honest, I don't think you need more missile resistance. Now, we have 3 options here. We can loot and raise, which is going to give us a lot of money, and also a small amount of additional movement and 10 bestial rage. We can raise and advance, that will give us a small amount of money, but a moderate amount of additional movement and extra casualty replenishment rate. Alternatively, we can raise a herdstone, and this will cost us a herdstone shard. Now, we have 1 shard currently. It's more of a, think of it as a cap on the number of active herdstones you can have, because if the enemy destroy your active herdstone, you get the shard back. If you complete the ritual and lock the herdstone down, you get the shard back. You don't get a shard back if your herdstone is locked down and the enemy then raise a settlement. So it's basically just there to make... It's a limit on the number of active herdstones you can have at any one time. I think you can have up to 3 eventually, maybe. So 3 Bloodgrounds at the same time. Fair enough. Let's raise the herdstone. And we have challenge completed. So the Beastmen's technology is now sort of more mission-based. So if we have a look at the challenges of the Dark Gods here, we've completed this one, which I think was win 3 fights, and then there's win 5 ambush battles, win 5 siege battles, win 2 ritual amounts. It also tells you the current amount, which is nice. So you can see 5 siege battles, current amount 1. Things like win 4 battles in a single turn, kill or wound 5 faction leaders, current 1. Create herdstones in 3 different climates. What's that? Win battles against enemies of 4 different cultures. That kind of thing. So, you know, all pretty good. A Plight of the No Horns. Going to give us melee attack and leadership for the Ungor herd and Ungor Spearman herd, which is fine. Once you've completed this, these 4 get unlocked regardless. So you can then research all of these 4 without having to do any other challenges. So it's just the first one that has the challenge, and then the other 4 are all unlocked automatically. These ones down here all have challenges as well. So we have completed the first bit of the Bloodground, which is create a herdstone. So we have a herdstone. You can see we've got 4 devastation, and the other settlements around it, you can see all have 4 devastation there. The devastation is based on the level of the settlement, I believe. So the higher level of the settlement, the more devastation you'll get for raising it. Once a settlement has been raised, if it's resettled, it won't give devastation immediately because the ruins only are a level 0 settlement. Once the AI upgrades it to a level 1, it will be back up to giving you 4 devastation, and you can go and raise it again to increase your devastation. Devastation never goes down, it only goes up. So we have, of course, the building upgrades. So the rank 1, we can get Ungor herd and Ungor Spearman herd. Level 2, we can get Gore herd and Harpies. Level 3, Feral Manticores, Chaos Spawn Giants. Level 4, we can get the Centaurs and the Minotaurs, and then finally the Greater Herdstone will get the Cygor. Now, obviously, if we can get to level 3, we already have a lot of unit cap for Chaos Spawn. So the sooner we can get to level 3 Herdstone, the better for Morghur, because as soon as you can recruit Chaos Spawn, you can just have a big stack of Chaos Spawn. Awesome. There's also some minor buildings to construct. I believe now, once you get to rank 3, you get 2 building slots. I don't know if at rank 5 you get 3, because I've not got that far. But there's different sort of like buildings you can construct here. They give various bonuses, mostly to the local region and the Bloodgrounds, although there is one that increases faction-wide. So Carrion Offering is going to increase casualty replenishment rate, herd recruit rank, and chaos corruption, as well as provide some additional units for garrison, and that increases as it goes up through the ranks. Shamanic Challenges increase winds of magic power. Reserve all Bloodground regions, also provides line of sight over all regions in the Bloodground, which is quite strong and provides some additional garrison. Of course, that gets better. It also gives dread gained from battles 20% at max rank and 10% at the second rank, and that is faction wide. Also have Rocking Pits, which basically makes it easier to deal with walled settlements because it increases the number of siege towers you can construct, increases ammunition. Don't know why we need, I guess Cygors have ammunition. Reload time increase for enemy towers, which means they fire slower, and missile damage for enemy towers, so they also do less damage. That's quite nice. And then the Winds of Malady, which is going to reduce campaign movement range for enemy armies. It also has a small chance of a plague to break out. Now this is the Plague of the Crow, which on settlements increases chaos corruption by like plus 100, I think. So it massively increases chaos corruption. However, it can affect armies and will cause attrition to armies. So that's quite a strong one to have. It also means that enemies are winded or worse in any battle that you fight, and also provides additional garrison. Now the Herdstone itself does have quite a nasty garrison. So you can see and it gets more potent with each upgrade. And at max rank, I mean, that's actually quite a scary army to face. So I guess the important thing to think of is that once you have completed your ritual, the Bloodground is kind of not worth that much to you. Obviously, if you have the increased dread faction-wide, that's nice, but it's not a settlement you need to really hold on to. So if after you've left, it gets raised by the AI, it's not the end of the world. And we're going to get Presence of Morghur because I would like Freakish Mutations. I also would like to get Manbane and Crown of Horns even. And I also like Feasting on Men because that increases income from raising settlements and income from raiding. Both things we like to do. So we're going to get some Chaos. You know what? I'm going to get 4 Chaos Warhounds. Hear me roar. Now, building these buildings does cost income. I'm going to grab, I think, the line of sight. I'm torn between the plague and the line of sight, but I'm going to go line of sight because I think being able to see around you is incredibly important. Having that intel means that you can make more informed decisions in who you're going to brutally murder. Talking of who we're going to brutally murder, it looks like Dieter Scharfen over here is Humphrey and Eldred. Can we reach them in one turn? We can. Do we? Oh, I think we just go for it. I think we just go for the settlement as well. Just kill him in one. Now we can see Pyrrhic Victory. If I hover over Auto Resolve, you can see no units are flashing red, which means I will lose no one from doing this. And we will loot and raise, because I want the cash. And Nordland are dead. And we get a little bit extra movement. So if we head into the Bloodgrounds, into our Herdstone province, then we will get more replenishment anyway, rather than hidden encampment, or that would have allowed us to recruit more units. I mean, either way it works. Okay, so you can see our devastation is raised to 8. So current devastation. Once we get 10, we can enact the ritual. So I don't think... I mean, we've got 254. How much is the first upgrade? 375. Right. So we just got to keep an eye on that upgrade, because I would like to get the Herdstone upgrade ASAP. So we've got Plight of the No Horns, a little bit of extra melee attack, and weapons leadership for Ungor herds. I'm going to get on Cloven Hoof and Twisted Claw, because extra speed for units, never a bad thing. And we're going to scamper over here, because my next target is going to be Norden. I'm also keeping an eye on Toddy. Toddy could be a good target as well. I don't really like the Ungor Raiders. Maybe I get another one just for funsies? We'll just get another one for funsies. There we go. We'll do that. And we'll go and hit Norden. Finish him off. Well, not finish him off. Raise it anyway. Get more devastation. What's this? Oh, right. So we've got Dark Strike. The Ruinous powers take grim pleasure in your endeavours. Nice to know they're watching. In a dark mirth, they grant a boon. Which of their gifts will you choose? We get Gorbal or a Brave Shaman. I always like, unless you're playing as Malagor and you get magical support, I always go with a Brave Shaman first, because it just makes a lot of sense to get that magical support. And he's cunning, so increase ambush success chance, perfect, and poison attacks, not bad. And he is an Amber Wizard, so he has Amber Spear, which of course is the best spell in the game. Not even joking, it is literally the best spell in the game. I will brook no interference in that. It should also be noted that Curse of Anra here also has changed. It now reduces melee attack and melee defense and speed, whereas previously I think it reduces accuracy. So I think it's a much better spell now. And I mean, that's a big debuff. That's a big AoE debuff to melee attack, melee defense, and speed, which means the units are not only going to move slower, but also be easier to kill and kill you less, which is really good. And then, of course, you get the Manticore. That's always quite nice. Physical resistance and melee defense makes your unit much more tanky. Amber Spear, best spell in the game, of course. Wisian's Wild Form gives you armor, piercing weapon damage, and base weapon damage. That's quite good at adding defense and attack. I think the Amber magic is actually very, very strong, and people will disagree with me. And to those people, I say you're just wrong. You are just wrong. Sorry. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Pyrrhic Victory. Well, oof, look how many Ungor I'd lose. Alright, well, let's kill Helmut Gladscheiser then. Of course, our Arangor herd can Vanguard deploy as well as Stalk, which means that we can charge this enemy army before they even know what's going on. Meanwhile, unfortunately, Morghur the Flesh Eater, and a Chaos Spawn have to trudge from the deployment zone, but never mind. Arangor are going to hold the enemy in place. Meanwhile, we have Wolves and Centaurs arriving from the rear. Or Warhounds, even. Should make fairly short work of those missile units, and charging into the rear there. Centaurs getting a lovely little charge there on the swordsmen that do a lot of damage. And finally, Morghur and the Chaos Spawn have arrived to the battle. A little bit of Wissian's wild form on the Centaurs to help out. Make them a little bit tankier, and also allow them to do more damage. Which gives them 65 armor, which is fairly respectable. Already the Chaos Spawn have rent a hole in the enemy line. And the Razor Gore herds coming in from the rear. I should also mention that they've buffed chariots. Chariots can now pull through units without you having to give yourself repetitive strain injury in clicking the mouse, which is nice. Chaos Spawn being summoned in from a unit that's dead, probably archers or something, doesn't really matter. And you can see that the enemy army is now pretty surrounded. Apparently Ungor you better not be having a union meeting. Stop it. No pay. You literally get no upkeep. Just all the humans you can eat. And there's good eating. It's a time of plenty. Smush. And we're going to loot and raise, because I want the monies! And we've got the Ritual of Ruin is now available at Salzamund. We've got Gambler's Armour, that's quite nice, and a Herdstone Keeper, that's nice, and a Dome or Horde Growth, excellent. So now we have 12 Devastation at Salzamund, and we can perform our ritual. Now, normally I would go and sort of like hit some of these surrounding settlements to gain more Devastation, but as an example, we're just going to hit Ritual of Ruin, we're going to go yes. So we've gained 12. If I'd had waited 2 more turns, I would have got an additional 30%, but I'm not gonna worry too much about that. And Salzamund is now locked. We can gain no more devastation from hitting these settlements. The ritual is now complete. What this also means is that settlements that are ruins no longer are settleable. So you can't resettle. The AI can't go and grab them until the herdstone has been destroyed. Which means you sort of end up with these big blobs of raised territory around all of your herdstones. And that feels very good. Because previously, if you raised settlement, likelihood it was going to be resettled within 3 turns. If the AI was slow. I mean, normally it would be much faster. And that always left you feeling with like you were just moving through the world with the AI backfilling behind you. That didn't feel very good. So now until they've destroyed the herdstone, they can't resettle that. And should I burn down, for example, Middenheim, they won't be able to then resettle it until the herdstone has been destroyed. So any settlement around any settlement in the Bloodgrounds, once it's raised until the herdstone is destroyed, and it's very satisfying. So we've increased our ruination level, which means we could. I think we could already upgrade these units. We could spend some dread doing that, but what I'm going to do instead is we're going to get the rune-covered herdstone upgrade. So we're going to purchase that one. That then means we can upgrade Salzamund to the next level to get the rune-covered herdstone. That is going to unlock Goreherd and Harpies for recruitment, which is always quite nice. And we're going to settle down for a second, and we're going to upgrade to the Hagtree Copse, which is going to unlock another building slot, which is nice. And then Morghur, you're going to get Manbane for melee attack and weapon strength. I mean, you don't need more missile resistance. And the army, I mean, if the enemy's getting lots of shots off us, then I feel like I'm playing Beastmen wrong. So we go Man-Bane, more killy, more better. The best defense is a good offense. And Morghur, the Flesh Eater, ew. You don't know where that flesh has been. Well, to be honest, you probably do. Maybe. And, good. And with that ritual complete, we now have our herdstone shard back, so we can go and pick somewhere else to go and raise. And if we select any settlement, we can see the Bloodgrounds surrounding it. Some of the settlements are a bit weird in that, for example, which settlement is it? It's this one down here. You can sort of hop through the map, but right. So I can't remember which. The Black Pit. The Black Pit. You would expect the Bloodgrounds to be this coast as well, because it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't have these coastal provinces as Bloodgrounds. So the best way to see what settlement will be, where the Bloodgrounds will be for a settlement, is to actually click on it and then have a look at what settlements are then covered with the red area. So as you can see, that Erengrad here actually has quite a large Bloodground, so maybe that could be an option. I mean, it might mean declaring war on the Norskans, but fuck it. I'm bloody Morghur the Shadowgave. I don't care. Maybe we go hit Erengrad next. Maybe we do that, but that'll have to wait until next time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.